Hello and welcome back to Watch Trading Academy. Today joining me is a fucking guy who's taken 4 fucking years to get here. And this is way too fucking long. I've seen this fucking guy on every call, every fucking coaching call. He's asked the dumbest fucking questions for 2 fucking years straight. And here he is, he's made over $100,000 fine of fucking lootly. And he's now almost making 200 grand trading watches in a rolling 12 months. It's fucking phenomenal. And hopefully he's going to get laid a lot more now that he's richer. So this is absolutely going to be the best Watch Trading Academy interview I've ever done, because I waited 4 fucking years to do this one. And I've had to see his face on my coaching call for fucking every week for the last 4 fucking years. It's terrible. Anyways, congratulations for finally fucking making it here. And it's a pretty big fucking achievement. This is really actually a good day for me, because I get to be I don't need to see all this anymore. It's actually rich enough to do stuff. So it's a pretty good achievement. $100,000, 12-month rolling, finally. After 4 fucking years, what was the trigger that actually made you fucking do this? Made you actually be okay, I get it. I'm just gonna go do this and not fuck around anymore.
Mostly finally getting into a proper deal flow. Just moving more and more. Moving more quantity and not focusing so heavily on maximizing the individual sale, because I was coming from a point of being poor, and I felt that I had the need to, I have this opportunity, I need to maximize every single opportunity, and what it ended up costing me was time. So I wasn't turning over the watches that I needed to, not even close. And then I finally made that switch, and finally moving out of my parents' house. So having a new environment with much more motive to actually make money, so I needed to support myself, and focusing on that deal flow. And then I slowly
so what was lacking?
Up.
Was it hunger, or was it motivation? What specifically? I'm trying to understand, because you've been doing this shit for 4 fucking years. That's a long fucking time. Should have taken you 8 months. So 4 years, I'm trying to understand what was the trigger point that was was it just moving out that was oh, I'm an adult now, fuck it, it's do or die, or was there something else that was because realizing that you own a watch and I got to get out of this whole I got to get every penny out of it. Fine, this happens for the first 2-3 months. You're holding a watch too long, you lose some money, you're why did I do this? But what was a trigger point where you're fuck this is gonna work? What was the first watch that hit it where you're fucking this is it?
I don't know if there was one individual watch. I just realized that I needed to shift, and I needed to shift hard, and I knew what I needed to do. I just was mentally having trouble getting over that gap of just selling things. And
what was the gap between selling things? What was hard in selling things?
I wasn't closing the offers that I had because I wanted more for it and was trying to maximize it.
Even though you were making money, meaning even though there's a good, a good offer, but you were no.
Yeah.
And was it because you had the wrong data? Was it because of what?
I was just getting too emotional about it, and I want more for this. I think I can get more for this, and I wasn't. It's that I wasn't valuing time enough. I was giving so much value to money and so little value to time, because my time had always been worth very little. But the problem is, it's not just my time's value; it's the time value of the money that I was holding.
God, it's beautiful. This is he just this shit from my dream. I'm just gonna cry. It's the shit we talk about in training. You're just nailing it. He's saying the things. I'm poor now. I understand the value in time. It's
I was broke.
I know, but I love this. I love this so much. This is so good. This is so good. This is exactly this is perfect. This is exactly what I want people to understand these things, and I feel watches do that to you. They force you into that model of buying things you can't afford, putting you into a very uncomfortable state, and then forcing you to deal with time, literally.
Yeah.
Forcing you through that process so that you can evolve at a significantly faster pace than the rest of the world. But you're finally here. You're wearing a $200,000 watch.
Yeah, another watch I can't afford.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This is working. The evil plan is working. So let's talk a little bit about this whole idea of time and holding, etc. Because this is a real issue for a lot of people. Oh, I want the best possible outcome for my watch, right? I want the best possible thing. So I'm not going to do a good deal because there might be a great deal on the table somewhere. Why is that happening? Tell me what specifically, like, when someone offers you $1,000, how did you make that measurement that you said no? Like, obviously you realize whether it was a mistake, but like, what were you using as that measure when you said, I think I can get more?
Comparables, even sometimes past sales data, or even past offers that didn't go through, which I understand now aren't indicative of what I can actually achieve because someone could be making it up.
And it could be someone that's much better than you, or has done this much longer
Yeah.
than you. Like, I sometimes say I get numbers that don't add up to what a normal seller or buyer would get, you know?
Yeah.
I buy stuff cheaper, or I sell stuff at huge numbers, and people are like, oh, well, how? Like, I want that number. And it's like, well, yeah, but you haven't been in the business like 20 years. So you don't
Like,
have to
I
find
can't
it.
compare my sales to Andre.
Right,
Because
right,
Andre
exactly,
is so good with the retail.
Right. Okay, and that was what was blocking you, because you were looking at those numbers saying, I want that money.
Right.
Okay.
And I was taking one very specific portion of your training to heart of that you can't get into the wholesale trap. You need to focus on retail as well.
Okay.
So I was trying to focus so heavily on retail that I didn't do wholesale for the
Like,
first
you
couple
didn't
of
do the
years.
deal flow. You just went
Right.
straight to the, like, I need a client, I need a client, I need a client.
Yep.
Okay. So when did you make that shift? And why did that shift happen finally? Because you've been on these trainings for, like, you're religiously on the training. I'm not
Yes.
saying this in a bad way. Listen, this is very important. Like, I've always said, if you don't know what you're doing in life, participation in things gets you closer to your goal, even if you have no action. Like, just participating, being there. You're always there, which is great. Like, you're always there, you're always paying attention, you're always asking questions. I joke about it today, but it's a very good trait to have in life when you don't know what you're doing, to at least say, I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to re-ask the question 42 times till I get like a different answer that kind of clicks. You know, and eventually one of them's like, like that's what that means. Okay, I'll do that. So tell me a little bit about what was that click that occurred that where you said, okay, I'm going to start taking less money. Why did you do that?
Because I realized I had to. Because I wasn't going anywhere. One year I made, my second year doing it, I made like 30 grand. My third year I made 31. And
So it wasn't improving. Like,
right. And I had more capital, like significantly more working capital.
so you were making less technically because yeah.
Right. So I felt a regression. And I realized the strategy that I am using is not working. So I know that it's going to be hard, but I have to switch it.
And why did you give up then? Like, why didn't you just say, maybe this isn't for me? Because most people would have said, oh, well, I suck at this, right? Like, I'm seeing other people make 600 grand. You know, I've been in all these trainings. I'm clearly not doing what these people are doing.
Because I saw other people were doing it and I know I could figure it out.
Okay. You figured it out now enough to be 100K and you're on your way to 200. So clearly the click from deal flow really made a difference between 30K and now making almost 200K. Is there any other strategies or any other things you've done that you feel you weren't doing at the beginning when you were in your own head and preventing yourself from getting there?
So I am also getting better at retail. And
What does that mean? Like, explain.
I'm selling more retail and for more very large margins. So developing my client list has been huge, but a portion of that has been deal flow and just dealing more with retail buyers, even if you're giving them almost a wholesale number on things.
Okay. How many of these, how have you been acquiring these clients? Because it's easy to say, like, oh, I've grown a distribution list of clients, but like, where did it come from? Like, where?
My best one came from getting them off eBay. My second best one came from Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Just kind of all over the place.
So was it that you listed watches specifically and people came to you, or was there a different strategy you used with Instagram?
For those two, yes. I've only sold one through Instagram, but it was to a repeat client. So I have built up a client list that follows me on Instagram and sees the stuff that I'm posting. And it resulted in, what was that, a $10,000 profit on NAP because he saw it that I posted and just said, I want that, give me a number, and closed the deal on it.
Okay, so now you're wearing a $200,000 watch, but you're not trading $200,000 watches on average. So what are the main watches you're trading?
I have now sold a couple watches over 100 grand, but nothing. I have 3 transactions over 100 grand, but most of the bulk of what my deals are probably 20 to 40. And I'm trying
That's
to
that
move.
range of watches you're mainly selling?
Yeah. and I'm trying to move that more up and up and up.
Is there a reason you didn't really start with a ton of Panerai or Hublots or any of those watches?
I often did. Hublot, I've only done well on a very few, like just a couple here and there that I've been able to sell retail, but most of the time I've ended up having to wholesale out for break even or a loss. Panerai, I did do a few of them, but I've always had such a love for watches in a broad sense. I think a big portion of it was also wanting to experience so many different types of watches that I went for Breitling and Omega and all the other brands as well.
Okay. So is there a favorite brand now? That's basically your like go-to brand for...
I mean, I really love AP.
Okay.
And Patek, but I haven't... It still is just a very broad range of what's available, and I tend to just go for whatever I think makes the most sense. Whatever is the best value that I know I can sell for significantly higher, even if that means I'm going to hold it for a really long time and make 70% on it.
So let's talk about your upbringing for a second, because that's important to me. The poverty thing you were talking about earlier. You said I grew up poor. So tell me a little bit about that, like about your upbringing generally. Like
I didn't necessarily grow up poor, but at least I personally was at the time. I grew up middle class. I was a single mom. My parents were divorced, and I spent the time flying back and forth between my parents.
Single child? Or?
Yep.
So me and you both. Interesting. Single mom.
I have a half brother now, but he's significantly younger than me.
I have a half sister.
Oh,
She's not too hot. I thought about it, but it wasn't going to work. I should say I got him there.
okay.
I give you one.
I grew up with a single mother working very, very hard to afford a townhouse while all of my friends had single family homes. Not as extreme as the situation you had, but...
So you were a middle class family, like kind of like normal, just you weren't struggling for food or shelter, but you just weren't in a position to do luxurious things, I see.
Yeah. And it was always very, very frugal, even on my father's side. My father actually made, I learned now, made decent money, but I never knew that because he was always so frugal growing up. I never had any idea that he was making.
So was that like a really big challenge for you to get out of that mindset of like,
yes,
you know, like being in that like, oh, we don't spend money on watches, we don't spend money on like luxury things, or like what was the hardest part of removing that from your life? Because I feel like a lot of people when they come into space, they're like, $5,000 for a watch, who's buying that crap? You know, like they think that way, right?
That was a big thing, was figuring out who my buyer was. Because I had no idea who my
Because
buyer
you're
was.
not the buyer yourself. That's
right,
what, yeah,
exactly. And it's a
yeah.
lot of the other people that it seemed to have come into this, they already were a buyer themselves, so they knew the buyer pool a lot better.
Well, I always say to people, even if you're not a buyer, then you have to become a buyer.
Right.
Like you have to like want to wear a watch to kind of like be like, I didn't know how to buy a watch, but I would buy one if I knew how to do it. And then if you really hate it and never wanted to buy one to begin with, you know, or weren't in that mode, then it takes a little bit longer to get accustomed to like spending $5,000 on a watch and thinking that it's not a purchase and it's like an investment. Yeah.
That one I didn't have too much trouble with because I knew it was an investment. The problem was treating the buyer like I would want to be treated because I didn't know how I would want to be treated because I didn't have that experience. Another big shift for me was when I actually bought a watch for myself to own personally. Just some Breitling that I wanted to have as a beater and travel with.
And you liked it?
I liked it, but it came scratched up and beat up, which when it was for inventory, I never had a problem with personally. But when it was my own watch, even though it was supposed to be my beater watch, I didn't like that it was all scratched up by someone else.
So it gave you a taste of like what bad service looks like and what matters about the process.
So I ended up getting the watch polished myself, even though I was going to beat up on it, just because I wanted it to be in good condition from the start. And now I don't care about the scratches because I did them.
Right.
So that gave me a mindset shift of how important it is to make sure the watches that I'm selling are in perfect condition.
When you think back, because I mean, you've taken all the trainings I assume, right? I mean, I've seen you everywhere for no reason. Even at times, the trainings, I'm like, why is this kid in here again? So think about all the trainings you've taken now, part 1, 2, 3, the car side and everything else. Which was the most meaningful training that you feel was most detrimental to your success to date? You know, what was the training that was like, this is the training that really was the difference?
frankly, it took me so long to properly digest everything. It's hard to pinpoint exactly. The most meaningful going through it was definitely part 3. Okay. The information in that was fascinating, and I did feel like I took away so much from it. Like part 1, it's basically a lot of stuff that you can figure out yourself. It's just actually compiled into it, and it's so
well, I
cheap.
didn't invent watch trading per se.
I mean, and the community alone is well worth the price tag on part 1. And the training on top of that is definitely very good. But it is a base that you can figure out yourself, nothing revolutionary. Part 3 really did feel like this is information that most people would never have access to.
Yeah, it's my money game.
Yeah.
Which is the game I've been playing for a long time. So, well, very few people play that game because they think it's the dealer game, but it's not. It's the opposite. But so now, 200,000 is the average of like 15, 20K a month. Is that how it's playing out, or what kind of month do you have now?
I had a shit month last month, but it is still very volatile because I am having these sales where I'm making very, very large rips on them retail for very, very exclusive particular timepieces. So
low volume, high margin.
Generally. Like last month it was $5,700. It's the lowest month I've had in I think 6 months. But in July it was $62,000.
Love this. So did you get laid more in July versus August because the money ran out? Because usually what happens is you make a lot of money. The month after you get laid more. So there's less money being made because you're busy. And then the month after you run out of money, so you get hungry again. You go out and shop. Was that what happened, or something else was going on?
I have a girlfriend.
Okay, well that doesn't prevent you from
I know for you it doesn't, I know.
Those things are separate things, It's like a value system thing. You can do both. No one said you have to do one. So that wasn't what happened. You're saying
that was not what happened. No.
So why did the drop all of a sudden happen? Because that's a significant. I mean, 60K I assume is from 2 large watches, correct?
Yeah.
Like large plays. So and then 5,700 is probably from 1 or 2 watches. Same thing.
That was. I think I still sold 6 last month. It was just such smaller margin pieces.
Like smaller watches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was clearing out a lot of my lower end inventory, which was nice to do because it's allowing me to kind of focus more on having fewer watches in inventory. Like I've gone from having 30 plus watches in stock to now having, I think, 14. So I'm moving more of my inventory up on the ladder.
So what piece of advice do you have for people who are new and maybe in the same mindset shift of really struggling with that conversion into what you now discovered got you to a 100K line? It didn't take you 4 years to get to the 100K line. It took you basically 12 months. But it took you 3 years of commitment and 3 years of reshifting mindset and everything to get to that starting line, to be like, okay, I get it. Let's make sure whoever's watching this doesn't fall in the same trap. What can they do to not do that?
Just actually sell. And sell without fear. And sell without this concern for the opportunity cost. Because the opportunity cost when it's in your hand feels so much more real of I think I can sell this for more, I just got to keep holding it, versus the actual opportunity cost of if you just sell it, you'll get another one. And for me, buying was always a fairly easy portion. It was just selling because I held on too long. So the deals are there. There's so many deals there. Just keep selling and you'll find something to replace it.
You saw that like so like scholar-like and like gentleman-like, and he looks in the camera and he gave you like, it's like the American Psycho thing going on, like where he's like super serious and next thing, it's like killing someone in the bathroom. Anyways, so first off, congrats. With all jokes aside, I've literally waited 4 years for this shit, so I'm glad that this kid's fucking here. This is a really big deal because, again, we all start from different beginnings and different parts. And here's Michael, someone who's committed to the training and finally committed to making it work. And he's finally here, and now it's changed his life. So it's a really good step in the right direction. Every one of you watching, there's one key part in this specific video that I think is very, very important. Not getting stuck in the numbers, not getting stuck in the rigidity of this is how business works. Business in its most successful state is a circle, not a square. It has to constantly expand and constantly retract. It is not hard edges of just structure that this is either is or nothing. So in this case, Michael made it. Which one of you guys will be next is the question. This is happening weekly here at Watch Trading Academy, and you're a 100K Club member. Every single week for the last year has been getting crowned with this award. And many of them are 250 now, $500 million club, we have $3 million club, and it's only been a testament to how much the training not only works, but even to date, when we are a community of over 25,000 people, it is still working even better than when we were a community of 100. So anyone else that believes that watches are getting saturated or the more people, the less you can succeed, then you're more likely to basically not make it if you feel that way. So focus on the trade, focus on the training, be like Michael, just don't wait 4 years to get here. And otherwise, I'll catch you next time for Watch Trading Academy.